Jaden Smith still missing. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I do believe that after 3 weeks of listening and looking and searching for Jaden Smith, the time is coming close and close and close and closer in the closing of this case. But as much as the time is getting closer and closer and closer in closing of the Jaden Smith case, which will be a very fast one than the time it would have taken to find him, Jaden Smith, I do believe, is not dead. I do believe that Jaden Smith is not dead. On 3 accounts why I do believe that Jaden Smith is not dead. Account number 1. Jaden was seen on CCTV cameras around Mandeville up to the point of the evening when it was raining hard. Poor visibility and a wet child who would be seeking shelter would have caused Jaden to be lost in a crowd where he would have changed his clothes, whether he had spare clothing or he was given clothing by someone. And listen to me carefully, Jamaica. I'm not speaking what I don't know. When I was a college student in Mandeville in 1995, the latter part, matter of fact, when at the closing of my high school year, I went to Spalding High School. But in the last few months of my high school, I had to go to West Indies College in Mandeville to do 6 weeks of practicum. And I remembered one evening it rained so much in Mandeville. And let me tell you something about Mandeville people if you didn't know Jamaica. They are willing to assist you because Mandeville has the largest return resident association in the entire Caribbean. Therefore, there are loving citizens and residents in Mandeville. Yes. One evening I got so wet coming from West Indies College. I can recall the many people in Mandeville who would have assisted me with clothing. Another occasion I remember in Mandeville was when I was a college student in Mandeville in 1996. I also got wet in a rain, and while passing the Mandeville Hospital at the time, a car drove past and splashed all that dirty water on me. And 3 nurses plus maidens at the Mandeville Hospital saw what happened, and they called me and offered me clothing right at the Mandeville Hospital. That's the kind of people we have in Mandeville. And any caring mother or parent or concerned resident of Mandeville who saw Jaden being wet is going to offer him some warm clothing. Think about that. So you're no longer looking for a child in uniform. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the first reason. The second reason why I believe Jaden Smith is alive, according to the eyewitnesses, Jaden's cousin, who came to the hospital from the United States of America to visit her child that is now the subject of a controversial matter of how he had a broken hip. The young lady, though critics and public scrutiny has it to say that she would have left the hospital and gone to spiritual. No. I'm not going into that because, listen to me, she wouldn't be so stupid. And if she is that stupid, she's not that stupid. Ladies and gentlemen, based on her timing of arrival from the United States, her time of arrival at the Mandeville Hospital, her time of departure to change, and her time of return, she would not have enough time to hurt Jaden. And note, if she's going to Spur Tree, The last place that Jaden was seen is on Perth Road. The distance and the direction is not adding up. And ladies and gentlemen, why I believe Jaden is alive is based on the words of the principal, this gentleman you see on your screen, the principal of Manchester High School, based on his words that I have heard from his very mouth on a social media interview. He said a staff member of his school, and I quote, a staff member of his school would have seen Jaden after the Friday. Jaden was seen one morning after person said Jaden was missing, after persons are accusing his cousin of taking his life. Ladies and gentlemen, let's listen carefully. The young lady that the public is accusing of taking her cousin's life, the driver and all, it's public talk. I have no facts about that. Please note. If she and her accomplice, according to public's view, would have taken the life of Jaden, why would the principal of Jaden's school came to public to say that a staff member would have seen Jaden after? This staff member would be sure to know what she's talking about. She went and she called for help, but Jaden disappeared. Ladies and gentlemen, let me give you a little extra why I believe Jaden Smith is alive and the case is about to be closed. This fourth gentleman on my screen, many of us in Jamaica and across the world now know him as the man who transformed the Jamaica Constabulary Force and had now made it a force for good. Hello, somebody. The gentleman on our far right, my far right here, his name, for those of you who don't know, is Dr. Kevin Blake. Dr. Kevin Blake is the Commissioner of Police for the Jamaica Constabulary Force, which means he is the highest commanding officer under the Prime Minister of Jamaica, Honorable Andrew Holness, and would only answer to the Prime Minister of Jamaica and the Minister of National Security, Dr. Chan. Ladies and gentlemen, follow me carefully on this quest for truth. Follow me carefully. As anyone calculated carefully the timing of Dr. Kevin Blake, Commissioner of Police for the Jamaica Constabulary Force, to Area 3, stopping in Mapen based on what we see in the media, visiting Mandeville, Manchester, stopping by the Manchester High School, and here you can see the evidence of him greeting with a shake of a hand the principal of the Manchester High School. Does this look like a sad meeting? Does this look like a meeting that is sad? No. This seems to be a gesture of great joy. And ladies and gentlemen, I am not a psychic. I am not a psychologist. I am not a prophet, as many people would go around and say, I am a prophet, a man of God. I am saying to us tonight, Jamaica, based on the timing of the Commissioner of Police, whether it was planned before, months before, weeks before, or days before, based on his timing in visiting the Manchester High School, based on his gesture, I do believe deep in my heart, not heresy, not hearsay, not he said, she said, not from social media or news media. I do believe that Dr. Kevin Blake, Commissioner of Police for the island of Jamaica, would have brought some good news to Manchester High School's principal, would have brought some good news to the persons of great interest in finding Jaden Smith. Why? I do believe the commissioner would have brought good news of comfort, good news of cheer, good news of hope. I believe his visit would have put every tangible resources available and possible in the hands of the Jamaica Constabulary Force to find Jaden. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Jamaica, do you think the police commissioner is going to take a mic and tell Jamaica what he's doing? Do you think the police commissioner is going to just get up and because the people demand answer to where Jaden is going to say, oh, this is the information I have, and this? No, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. There are chains of communication, and there are rules and laws of justice. And I do believe when the canine dogs were brought out into the home that Jaden once dwelt, had to be commissioned by the commissioner.